Test one, test two. Hey, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
It is awesome to be back with you guys. I don't know how long it's been. I think it was the winter. Was it January? Or it was fall, maybe?
I think it was October.
Was it October? Gosh. Hey, if I haven't met you, my name is David Peacock, and I love you guys. Golly, I pray for you guys often. We've journeyed together. We've done some revivals together and come in and preach for Bruce. I love your pastor. You're such a wonderful man leading you guys. And thank you for being a part of this thing that we call a church. Remember, it's not a building. It's relationships. It's people. People make up the church. So I have a lot in my heart. Lots been going on in my life. And beyond the beard, I forgot last time I was here I didn't have a beard. I told somebody walking up earlier, they said, "What happened?" I said, "Well, last night I slept really hard. I woke up and I forgot to shave, and there it was." But they didn't believe me on that one. No, it's been a little while. So today I want to share something that's on my heart. I have a 20-year-old daughter. She's finishing her sophomore year at Auburn. And I have a 17-year-old daughter. She's finishing her junior year at Mountain Brook High School in Birmingham. And so a lot of changes in our life. My daughter, when she left for Auburn, she left her downstairs bedroom. And it was a big deal when my 17-year-old daughter had a chance to move downstairs to the basement. I mean, it was like her own little place, away from mom and dad. And so my wife had to get things ready for Bailey. And so she set the room. She had to make sure she transitioned it from my older daughter's room to my younger daughter's room so she could make it her own. So my wife set it all up for her. Bailey got down there. She's so excited to be down in her own room. And I said to her, I said, "Bailey, listen, what I'm going to tell you is, as you move down into this basement, you got to make sure the small messes don't become big messes. If you don't pick up after yourself over a period of time, it's going to become a huge mess." She goes, "I know, Dad, I know, Dad." Any parents hear that from your kids? I know. And parents, you know where this is going, right? So, week after week, we go down to the basement, and the mess gets bigger and bigger and bigger, where she can't find anything down there in the basement in our house. And so what happens is, you hear this voice from down in the basement, "Daddy, Daddy." And I know where she's going with this. She's like, "Can you help me clean up my mess?" Because she doesn't know where to start. She has ADHD, so she has a hard time sometimes focusing on things. And so I said, "I'll be right down, Bailey." I go downstairs and we look at the big mess and I'm like, "Where do we start? Let's start with this shirt right here." And then we start going. Well, as we've been journeying along with her room, every, I'd say, 3 or 4 months, I get called down to the basement. "Daddy, Daddy." And I go down to the basement and I help Bailey clean up her mess in the basement. You're probably saying, "David, where are you going with that?" God created this beautiful world, and he gave it to one man named Adam. And he said, "Here's this beautiful world to take care of. I mean, you can enjoy everything about it. Matter of fact, you can walk in the coolness of the day with me. You can walk with me." Amazing thought. But just one thing, just don't eat that piece of fruit. We don't know if it was an apple or an orange, we don't know, but he said, don't eat that fruit. You can do anything else you want. Enjoy the animals and the birds, and I'm going to give you a beautiful wife, Eve, but don't eat that fruit. And guess what happened? The mess started with one piece of fruit. And then the mess was passed down for 1,600 years, from one generation to the next generation to the next generation. And from time to time, mankind would cry out and say, "Daddy, help me clean up the mess." And God would come down and help clean up the little mess. And then continually over 1,600 years, "Daddy, help me clean up the mess." And he'd come down time and time again. And now we find ourselves in history, a really dark, dark place, where the mess was so big, God was so fed up, he decided to destroy everything. But God found one person to help clean up the mess. His name was Noah. Today we're going to talk briefly about the life of Noah, but we're really going to lean into this thought of what does it mean to clean up the mess? Where do you start with the messes of life? We all have messes in our lives. Noah had a massive mess to clean up. God used him. But what about our messes? What about our messes relationally, financially, physically, spiritually, maritally, relationships with people at work, with people we live next door to, people we go to school with? And the mess just started so small. And what happened to this mess? We never dreamed it got this big. Now we don't even talk anymore. I ignore the text messages. I don't even respond to text messages anymore. I have these imaginary conversations in my head where I'm going to say this when they say this to me if I run into them at the grocery store. Right? Anybody else? Am I the only one in this place that has these imaginary conversations? Right? And so these messes get bigger and bigger. But here's the deal. It affects the people we love the most, the people closest to us. So what do? Today we're going to learn from Noah. The major lesson from his life. He was a man who was obedient to God. He obeyed God. And so today's lesson is, what can we learn about the idea of obedience that can help us all clean up the messes in our lives? I'm excited to jump into the story. We're not going to read the whole story of Noah, but I'm going to read a select passage. Then I'm going to give you some application. And this is my prayer. My prayer is that you guys will be able to unpack some of this, go home to your worlds, and flesh it out and live it out. And I'm going to warn you ahead of time, with the messes, when the messes get bigger and bigger and bigger, they're harder to clean up. And many times things are harder before they become easier. But it's worth it. Because when my daughter Bailey and I take a step back and look at the basement, we go, look how nice it looks. And she says, Dad, I promise I'll keep it messy this time. And guess what? It's going to be messy all over again. But it's an honor to go down there as her father. And it's an honor for God to come down into our worlds and go, I know it seems like a mess. I know you don't know where to start. I know you have spiritual ADHD. But let me come down and let me join you. Let me come near to you. And let me clean up your mess. And I know it's never been cleaned up before. And I know it's been a while since it's been cleaned up before. And I know there's a lot of other people attached to your mess now. But I'm God. And with me, all things are possible. I can do that. That's what God wants to do in your life. I believe with all my heart. So let's go to the scripture. If you have your Bibles, open to the book of Genesis. If you're new to Bible study, Genesis is really easy to find. It's the first book of the Bible. It's kind of easy to kind of just open at the very beginning, right past the little section where you write your name, and maybe there's some maps there. You click on over Genesis. We're going to go to chapter 6, Genesis chapter 6. And I encourage you guys, get out a pen, mark up your Bibles, underline things, write things down, write today's date down. This past weekend, before I jump into this, my wife gave me the task to clean up our basement's storage area. I've been married for 25 years, and we've accumulated a lot of things over the years, a lot of things. And it took me all day to clean up our storage area, cleaning things up, purging things, getting rid of things. But I went down there and I found a Bible, my first real Bible. I became a Christian when I was 13, but I really didn't start following after Jesus until I was in college. And I got this Bible when I was in college, and I pulled it out of some random box. I opened it up and I looked, and it was all written in and highlighted. There was food stains in there when I was eating breakfast, and I put some breakfast on there. And I wrote notes from pastors from when I was in college all the way up to now, and there were notes about quotes I heard in church. It was so cool to look at that Bible, so beat up, so weathered. But the journey of all my messes were in this Bible. So as we open up our Bibles this morning, let's document, let's write down in our Bibles what we're learning, okay? Genesis 6. We're going to go to verse 5. Verse 1, or verse 5, chapter 6. The Lord, capital L, saw that the wickedness of mankind was great in the earth, and listen, and that every intention of mankind's thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. I mean, what a tough spot. Can you imagine? The word Lord here means Jehovah. That's where we get our word provide. The God who provides. The God who provides the cleanup for the mess. The Lord Jehovah saw the wickedness of mankind was great. I look around my world, I see a lot of wickedness. I don't know about you. And I just want to say, God still sees. He still sees it. Because He loves us. And it was meant to be that way. He had a better way. But the Lord sees the wickedness of mankind. It was great in the earth, and that every intention and the thoughts of the heart were only evil continually. Continually means this: day after day after day, all day, every day, each day, continually. That's a lot of wickedness. See, mankind said this: we're going to do it our way, not your way, God. And when we do that with our lives, you see, we think we know better. When I say that to God, I say, God, when I know better, the mess starts. It continues. But it doesn't have to be that way. So God saw the mess. This next verse in the Bible is one of the saddest verses you'll ever read in the Bible. One of the saddest verses you'll ever read in the Bible. Listen. And the Lord was sorry that he had made mankind on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. Doesn't that break your heart? He made mankind have a relationship with man. And when he looked at his creation, it says this: it grieved God to his heart. So what did God do about it? Did he give up on mankind? No, verse 7, listen. So the Lord said, I will blot out mankind, whom I have created from the face of the land, man and animals and creeping things and birds in the heavens, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. So he said this: Noah found grace in God's eyes. The Bible says he's going to blot out all of creation, but there was a man named Noah, and he found favor in his eyes. And it says this: now there are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. I love that. Noah walked with God. Wouldn't that be great if that was said about us? That Noah walked, that God walked, we walked with God. And Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. You guys see the movie Noah? Remember the movie Noah came out? I don't know if it was exactly like that, but that was a pretty dark picture of what could have looked like, right? And it says, and God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, and all the flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. Okay, and it says, and God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end to all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them and the earth. So he said this: make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. And this is how you are to make it. Now let's keep in mind, listen, Noah was 600 years old. I mean, he was on retirement. He was retired. He was getting his check, his retirement check. 600 years old. Isn't it amazing when you look at Scripture? God calls people in their later years. Abraham, right? Noah. You look at the giants. Many times people think, when I get to be a senior adult, it's done. God doesn't have anything else for me. If you're a senior adult this morning, I just want to let you know, God may just be getting something new in your life. Something radical, something incredible. Noah was 600 years old. The word earth here is mentioned 3 times. 3 times, which means a complete number, a whole number, right? The whole world. And I love it says this: I'm going to destroy the whole earth, but Noah, I want you to make an ark. And Noah says, a what? God said, I want you to make an ark. What's an ark? Because up to this point, many biblical scholars believe that it had not rained. It had not rained on the earth. So who needs a boat when there's no rain? But God said this: I'm going to make for you, I want you to make for me a boat, an ark. I did some research how big the boat was, and I guess there's a place in Kentucky you can go see this boat. You ever seen the depiction of what the ark looked like? It was 400 feet long, 450 feet long, 45 feet high, 75 feet wide, 100,000 square feet. 100,000 square feet. You could fill a whole football field in this ark. Picture that. Everybody's saying War Eagle, and it would be a beautiful place. You know? Just joking. Just don't let that be a barrier. Oh, this guy. It took 120 years to build this. What's the longest project you've ever been on? A building project. 120 years. A man who's 600 years old with his family building this boat that could fill a football stadium in. I mean, that's a long time to be on a building project, right? It's a long time to be a contractor for a building project. So Noah builds this boat, and this is what happens. There were 40 days of flooding. You guys watch the news when these tsunamis or hurricanes hit? They're pretty devastating, right? Picture 40 days and 40 nights rain, continually. Rain. 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 And it rising, and it rising, and it rising. And 8 people chose to follow God and live. Out of the whole entire earth. The whole entire earth, 8 people, guys, 8 people got into this boat. Got in this boat. Okay? Imagine the sounds on the outside. People crying, screaming, let us in. Don't kill us. Don't do this. Let us in the boat. Let us in. We believe you now, Noah. We believe you. And the rain kept falling and falling and falling. Friends and neighbors, people you had relationships with, people you did business with, people you shared meals with, dying all around you. Now, what can we learn from this story? You're saying, David, I mean, come on, really. This is like a children's story. This belongs teaching children, little nice little animals and 2x2 and they're walking in, right? It's a nice little story, right? I mean, what do we have to learn from this story? What do we have to learn from this story? It says, and the scripture goes on in verse 18. I need to read this to you. Verse 18 and through 22. It says, but I will establish a covenant with you, and you will come into the ark, and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives and you, and every living thing of all flesh, you will bring 2 of every kind into the ark. You say, but that's a nice little story. And of course, the peacocks were coming in, right? They led all the birds in the procession, right? They came in of all kinds. And then verse 21, also take with you every sort of food that is eaten and store it up, and you will serve the food for you and for them. And then verse 22, and I want you to underline this in your Bible. Verse 22, listen. Noah did this, and he did all that God had commanded him. That's called, my friends, obedience. Obedience. He didn't do some of the things that God commanded. He did all of them. So, is this beyond a nice little child story? And some of you have a scientific brain. You're like, I'm not sure if this could really happen. I mean, I went through high school and college, and they taught me different things. And it's a nice little story, David, but really? 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 We're going to talk about that, how this really could happen in our world. Let's talk about that right now. The first thing is this. You got to realize that it wasn't until 1853 that a boat this size was ever built that we're aware of. And people don't know where this ark is right now. People believe it's on Mount Ararat, where Turkey is. And you can't get up there because the government won't let you get up there. But people have said there are signs of a large structure on Mount Ararat. All right? There are many world religions out there. And I'm just going to pull out 200 world religions. 200 out of all the world religions. 200 of them have a flood story. 200 have a flood story. 88% favored one family. 70% a boat rescues them. 95% there's a cause of judgment of God. 67% had animals on it. 57% the boat ended up on a mountain. Interesting, huh? Same story, different faiths. They're following this story, a part of creation. Now, if you were to open up this boat, picture this. 125,000 sheep could fit in it. 125,000 sheep could fit in it. How many picture that? 125,000 sheep fit in it. If you were to take 2 of every species that we know in our world, there would only be 36,000 animals and birds and reptiles. So if 125 sheep can fit on it and there's 36,000 of every species, there's still a lot of room in this boat. For 2/3 of it for food, for humans to live on, and to be on it for 350 days. So yes, it could happen. Absolutely. It could happen. This was real. You see, what we have to learn from the story is this, guys. Listen, Noah was obedient. Obedience is hard, isn't it? From our parents, when our parents are telling us something, and they don't have a clue, right? Our parents don't have a clue. We weren't teenagers ever, right? We never questioned our parents. I question my parents all the time. Our bosses tell us things. Church leaders call us to be obedient. Right? Children with parents. I mean, we go on and on with this issue of obedience. Obedience is so, so very important. What did it look like for Noah then? He was looked at as a crazy man. But guys, listen. Not 120 minutes. Not 120 days. 120 years. This fool was building an ark. Right? Because God called him to be obedient. He risked his life, he risked everything, and he trusted God. And God started with him to make the world new. And this is what I believe. When there are messes around us, he chooses people. He chooses couples. He chooses families. He chooses churches. When there's messes all around, to change those messes. And if he can use Noah, he can use you, he can use me. He chooses a student in a high school. He chooses a student in college, and everybody else is going this way in college. Everybody parties, everybody drinks, everybody sleeps with everybody, everybody experiences sexually with different genders. Everybody does it. Are you going to be a Noah? To step up. You may look like a fool there, but God still calls Noah. Everybody at work takes the truth and shifts it just a little bit to make a little more profit. And you know it's wrong. And God's calling you to be a Noah in that business. And there's a lot to risk in that situation. Your marriage, you've been married for a little while. The newness is wore off. And she sure is pretty and she talks to you nicely. Your wife used to talk to you that way. You're about to get married. Will you do marriage right this time? Will you last? Most marriages don't last. Will you be obedient to what God is calling you to do with that tough conversation? Because no one's talking to that person. Because it's too tough to talk to that person about that thing. And it's been getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger in your heart to talk to that person. Will you be obedient? That'll be your ark that you carry. That'll be your construction to put together. Obedience can change everything in somebody's lives, in other people's lives. The one thing in the morning is this. Obedience cleans up our and others' messes. Obedience cleans up ours and other people's messes. Many people think it's just about Bailey's mess in the basement. No, it's our mess. Because when the bug man comes down there to spray, he's like, what do I do here? When I go down and say hi to her and I'm like stepping over the piles, right? Right? It's big messes everywhere. Our messes, people say, but you know, it's just my life, leave me alone. Our lives become other people's lives. And many times, again, like I said, it hurts the people closest to us. It hurts people closest to us. So you got to be careful of these messes. Obedience is the thing that's going to help us out of these messes. Okay, 3 ways to follow Noah's example. Let me give you three ways to follow Noah's example. Okay, how to uncover, how to come out of these messes. Right? The first thing is this. Welcome God's grace. Invite God's grace. Welcome His grace. The word grace here is actually used in Scripture as favor. Welcome His favor. Welcome God's favor in your life. When you listen, when you're obedient to God, His favor rests upon you. You ever notice those people? And you're like, they keep on getting the promotions. Things just happen. They're protected from things. What is that? It's God's favor. I believe with all my heart. I'm telling you. I believe with all my heart. I look at many people's lives, their lives are train wrecks. Train wrecks. I'm a chaplain. I work in a hospital in Birmingham, St. Vincent's Hospital. And I have an awesome opportunity to interact with people. And sometimes I sit down with people and they tell me their story. I mean, tell me how you got to this place. You didn't wake up this morning and say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to start doing meth. I'm going to start doing meth. You didn't wake up this morning thinking about that. Right? Tell me about your journey. Tell me what happened. Well, it started here, and it went to here, and it went to here, and this person came out of my life, and this person came out of my life, and I had a choice here, and I had a choice here. I look at people's lives. We are made up of our choices. And many times our lives are wrecks, and we can blame all these other people in our lives, but until we start going like this, and they're on this breathing machine, and they were told when they were younger to stop cigarette smoking, and they can't even breathe anymore. And it's horrible what's going on. And then look at them, and their families gathered around and have to make these tough medical decisions. Do we take them off the vent? And they were told when they were younger, stop, it's going to kill you. Right? You go on and on in these situations. Now, I get it. Sometimes things happen health-wise. We can't help it. But when you look back on our lives, our choices add up. And I talk to these people, and of course God loves them. And of course I share God's love with them. But they've got to deal with reality. You guys got a whole future ahead of you. A bunch of choices ahead of you. What are you going to do with those choices? You're going to see a bunch of people making poor choices. And choices make who we become. But listen, it's never, here's the whole piece. No guilt and shame here. It's never too late to make the right choice and to change. Change the direction of your life. It's never too late to jump in the boat with Noah, right? It's never too late. Never too late. As a hospital chaplain, it breaks my heart when I hear people's stories. And they're lying down, they're 90 years old. It breaks my heart in different ways. I see a couple who've been married for 60 years. And he's like, I love her so much. I don't know what I will do without her. My heart just goes, oh. Or I hear this man talking about all the things he did with his life. He said, I wish I spent more time with my family. I wish I would have traveled more. I wish I would have gotten to know God more. And I just look at him and listen. I go, yeah. Right? But then I sit beside bedsides and I see these people and they share their stories. This is what I did with my life. And I made hard choices. And there was a lot of risk. But I followed God. And this is what happened. Boom, 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 boom. And I say, tell me more. And they go, let me tell you about this one. I'm like, oh my gosh. And they say, you know, David, I don't regret a single moment of following Jesus. Those are the great times. And I leave the room just like floating. And I leave the room like, hey, by the way, David, I know you pray for a lot of people. I want to say, I'm praying for you. And I go, thanks. It's amazing. Amazing. We deal with famous people sometimes in the hospital. And we can't tell people who they are because there's HIPAA violations. And I speaking at Auburn, I remember walking into a room and I saw the person's name and I said, is that so-and-so who played football at Auburn? No, it can't be. Yeah. Walk in the room and lo and behold, there's the person. I said, oh my gosh. I said, hi, blank. My name is David. I went to Auburn. I ran track at Auburn. I played football at Auburn. You know, we're athletes. I've been watching you on TV, and wow, it's great to meet you. He started opening up about his life and all the things he'd done with his life. Even though he had all the fame, all the fortune, all the notoriety, all the records, right? He was there for a physical situation because of things he had chosen. And he said, but listen, I've asked God to come into my life, and I've chosen to follow him. And to the best of my ability, I'm giving my situation to him. And I'm finding hope in him. I'm trying to obey and follow him. And it was the coolest conversation. So cool. But he was in a place where it was tough. He was struggling. He was walking through a really, really tough time. Welcome God's grace into your life. Now, you may be saying this, David, how could God be so cruel to kill all those people? I mean, thousands and thousands, I don't know how many people were on the earth, but the whole earth was killed except for 8 people. How can God be such a brutal God? I talk to people all the time. Why would I trust in a God who's so violent and angry and kills people? Why would God do that to people? I want to remind you of this. Those people made choices. They thought Noah was a fool. They thought living for God is foolish. They made choices. God loves them. God waited 1,600 years to flood the earth. 1,600 years. That's a lot of love. Seeing it to get to a place where there's so much wickedness on the earth. The Bible says he's slow to anger. Right? And he doesn't want anybody to perish. And he doesn't want us to perish. Because he loves us. But there just gets a place in all of our lives where he's not going to push his grace on us. He will welcome us if we welcome him to our lives. But guys, listen, the good news and the bad news about God is he's never going to push himself on you. Never. It's called unconditional love. You and I can choose. We can live our way. We can do our way without God. Or we can follow God. But he's never going to force his way onto us. No. Do you know what his name means? It means rest. Which means this. You can rest in God's love when you're obedient to him. His name means rest. I love it. So where does God's grace start? It's salvation. It's called justification. When we give our lives to him, we say, Jesus, you be the boss. I invite you into my life. I want you to be the Lord. I want to follow you. But that's just the beginning. It's like Noah saying, okay, I'll build the boat. That's where it is. I'll start the boat. Do we have hammers and nails? No. We need to figure this out. What's gopher wood? I've never seen gopher. I don't even know what a gopher wood is. Yeah. Right? So, the first thing to do when you follow Noah's example is this. Welcome God's grace. Welcome it. Welcome it. Invite it into your life. It may be scary. You may have never been there before. But just say, God, I'm in. I'm full in. Bring it on. Bring it on. I can trust myself with my life, or I can trust you. Second thing is this. Walk with God. Welcome God's grace. And then secondly, walk with God. Genesis 6:9 says this. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. He walked with God. He knew him. He knew his voice. He knew his promptings. The more he obeyed God, the more he wanted to obey God. The more he understood God. That's the thing about obedience. Once you test God in obedience, you say, okay, God, I'm going to trust you with this thing right here, and that's it. I mean, just this one little thing. The rest is mine. I got it. I mean, you get this. That's all you get right here. And let's see what happens, God. This is all I can give you. And I think it's an awesome place to be, because you're being honest. You're saying, this is all I have for you, God. Can I trust you? You give this little thing. And then you look back and you're like, wow, I couldn't have turned that thing into that. Okay, God, this worked pretty good. I'm going to give you this. And then you look back and you go, wow. And then down the line, you see time and time and time again. And you look back, you're like, I can't imagine my life if I didn't give him this little thing right here. And maybe that's all you have right now is this little thing. And that's okay with God. Just give him it. Just say, I'm signing in. I'll start building my boat. That's all I can tell you right now. That's all I can give you. And God says, right on. Let's go. I'm jumping in with you. I'm here for you. So, walk with God. Noah walked with God. How do you walk with God? What does it look like to walk with God? I think it's kind of like a conditional thing, though, because you have to understand there's a give and take with God. In John 14, verse 15, I may have shared this verse with you before, but I think it's so awesome to read this. In John 14, verse 23, Jesus said these words, and many times they're so misunderstood. It says this, verse 23. Jesus said, if anyone loves me, if anybody wants to obey me, if anybody loves me, or anybody, if anybody loves me, he will keep my word. He will obey my word. And my Father will love him. And we will come to him and make our home with him. If anybody loves me, he will keep my word. And I always just hear that verse like this. If you love me, you will obey me. Anybody believe in that kind of God growing up? If you love me, you will go to church every time the doors are open. If you love me, you won't do that. If you love me, angry, finger pointing, looking down on, eyebrow down, right? But I read this verse, listen, I read it this way. If you love me, you're going to obey me. Of course you are. I love my wife. I've been married 25 years. She's at home right now. She's sick. And so this morning, how graphic do I get? She threw up this morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. It's always nice waking up to that. But she came back to bed. She came back to bed, and the whole bed was shaking. She was shaking. She goes, I'm so cold. Will you please hold me? I'm so cold. She goes, you may get sick though. I said, I don't care. I held her. And then it happened again. She came back to bed and I laid hands on her and said, Jesus, please settle her stomach. Please stop her from shaking. Please. Went back to sleep. Continue all night long. Her heart was, because I love her. David, will you give me some Gatorade? Yeah, of course I love you. David, will you take care of things with Bailey? Is it okay if you go by yourself? I said, yeah, I love you. David, I had these responsibilities today. I love you. Come on, you guys understand if you're married, you get it? If you're not married, you have friends, you get it. God says this, if you love me, you'll obey me. Trust God enough. If you love me, you'll obey me. Follow him. Okay? So walking with God means you obey him, you follow him. It's out of a relationship with God. It's a want to. It's not a have to. People are like, I don't want to give my life to Christ. I don't want to become a Christian because life won't be fun. Or I won't be able to do the things I want to do. When you give your life to Jesus, your whole world view changes. You used to see things this way, right? And you obeyed you. See, before you're a Christian, you just obey you. You do what you want to do. I'm God, small g. I'll do what I want to do. I'll figure things out. I'll make the rules. I'll come up with what I think is truth. Matter of fact, I'll call God whatever I want to call him. And I'll pick out the scriptures I like, right? If I even look at it. When you give your life to Jesus, you come over here and you go, I used to live that way, but I'm going to see life differently. And he puts his spirit inside of you, and the spirit starts changing you on the inside of you. Like, I can't believe I used to think, I used to speak, I used to be with those kind of, I used to want that. I can't believe I used to want. Okay? friends who still do that. And you go, I could have been there. Or you're over here and you're like, you see that person who decided to obey God over there, like, I wish I would have. But God's saying it's not too late. I mean, just jump in the boat. There's a little thing in the boat. You still can jump in the boat. It's not too late for you. Walk with me. Experience me. Right? One of the favorite things that I love to do is I love to go for walks with my wife. When you start walking, you start talking about things, you interact about things. You walk, you see things around you. It's the same thing with God. Kind of take God on the journey with you, right? As you're raising kids, as you have grandkids, as you're in a career you don't want to be in, you're wondering, what in the world am I doing here? Right? Take God along with you. Walk with God. Walk with Him. It's not about being religious and being good and gooder and trying to do the right things. No, just join Him right alongside you. Right alongside you. That's the beauty of Christianity. Walk with God. I had a kid. I used to be a youth pastor. I had a kid in my youth group. Golly, he never understood this thing about walking with God and God's grace and God's love. His name, we'll call him Bob. And so he got this thing where he felt he was really. Some people have a personality where they're real extreme, and so they have to do things in an extreme way. Well, he felt like he had to read the Bible X amount of minutes a day, and if he didn't, God was mad at him. And then he started this thing. I don't know where he got it. He's like, okay, I'm gonna bring my Bible to class, and I make sure all my friends see the Bible on my desk, and I can't leave the class after the bell rings until I read one verse. And then he had all these other things he'd set up, and he'd pile all these things on top of it. Now, I'm not saying read the Bible is bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't bring your Bible. I'm not saying that. Please hear my heart. What I'm saying is, for God to love him and accept him, he had to obey in a legalistic way. And he missed the relationship with Jesus, walking with Jesus. Does that make sense? That makes sense at all. We put up all these rules and we miss Jesus. We're all religious, but we miss Jesus. This guy, Bob, is my Facebook friend. He's 35 years old now. I don't know what he is. He's just in the world. Because you know what happened? Bob goes, if that's what Christianity is, I don't want that. And I don't blame Bob. I don't want that either. And I try to reach out to Bob, sharing how much I love him, how much God loves him. Talking about a relationship, walking with God versus the legalism of it. And you'll want to read the Bible if you walk with God. You'll want to go to church if you walk with God. You'll want to share your faith if you walk with God. You'll want to do these things. You're like, of course. If you love me, I'll be sure. I love you. Yeah. Be careful that you miss walking with God because you're working so hard for God. That makes sense? Okay. Let's go to the third point. The third point, final point is this. Be willing to follow the unknown. Be willing to follow the unknown. You're saying, but David, I've traveled a long time. And David, you don't understand. I trusted God before, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. And I'm not sure if I want to go back to that again, to the unknown again. God is a God who is worth following through obedience. Genesis 6:15, God talks about Noah following the unknown for 120 years. And listen, I wrote this down. Many times God calls us to do things that doesn't make sense to us. He sees the bigger picture. Beyond the now, he has an eternal perspective. I've shared with many of you guys before, I grew up in Vermont. We were like 30 minutes from the border of Canada. And so God gave me an ability to run. And I was a runner in high school, and I did some good things. And I wanted to run in college. And so God opened some opportunities for scholarships all over New England. And I was looking at some schools in New England. But my sister went to Auburn University. She was getting her master's there after she was Vermont's junior miss. She went to South Alabama, and then she went to Auburn. And I never heard of Auburn before. I never heard of many schools in Alabama. So I didn't know much about that. But I remember when I contacted the coach and I went down for my recruiting visit. I remember walking on the campus, and as clear as day, God said to me, "This is where I want you." And I said, "But God, I'm like 24-hour car ride away from my house. This is a long ways away. My friends think I'm just freaking out. Why would you want to go to Alabama?" You know, everything is really, really hot, and it's got these big brown bugs running around, and I've never seen roaches in Vermont. It's too cold for roaches in Vermont, right? I didn't know where yonder was. I didn't know they served this milk and stuff at breakfast with lumps all in it. I don't know what that the grit thing was. I didn't know what. Everything's so different from me, right? People had different accent. They couldn't understand me. They looked at me like I was an alien, you know. But I remember, as clear as day, God's like, if you obey me and you go, you wait to see what I'm going to do in your life. And I'm telling you, my life changed radically because I took that step into the unknown. Is God calling you to a place of unknown? It's a little scary. You've never been there. You used to go there, maybe. Maybe it's impacting people you love, and it's scary. You talk about going to college next year. You're going to go into a place, it's going to freak you guys out. It is, right? It's going to freak them out. And all those things that your parents have been chirping in your ear, once in a while they're going to pop in, and you may even get crazy and text them, you're like, thanks, Mom. Maybe. It's just going to be you, and you can do whatever you want to do. And Mom and Dad aren't around. Doesn't matter. What will it look like? I'm so glad that I had a chance to, I didn't do everything right at Auburn. I made a lot of mistakes, and there was a lot of difficulties and challenges, and I made poor choices. But I'm telling you, what would my life be like if I didn't say, okay, God, I'm going to go to college there? I wouldn't be here with you. I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have had all the adventures that I've had. Right? So, what happens is when we welcome God's grace, when we walk with God, and then we're willing to go into the unknown, our lives are never the same again. Ever. But will you obey God? Will you be like Noah? Or will you be like everybody else, pounding on the boat? The flood waters are rising, and you're pounding on the boat. Who will you be? What will your life look like? John 3:16 says this. God so loved the world. You know this. You've heard it a jillion times. God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. God put the world in Jesus' nail-scarred hands. He was the second Adam to make things right, to bring spiritual order to the mess, the spiritual mess, to straighten things up. In the basement. He's in heaven and this is the basement, right? The Bible tells us as Christians, when we die, we're actually going to live on the earth for 1,000 years. There will be a new heaven and a new earth. We're experiencing a whole new earth. But until then, this is just the earth. Right? But God loved us that much. And he says this, I am the way. You can do it your way. You can do it the world's way. You can do it my way. Which way you're going to do it? Because if you do it the world's way and your way, the mess will ensue and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Bigger and bigger. Or you can do it my way and trust me. Trust me. As a Christian, obedience starts when we accept Christ. Have you done that? I'm beyond just like walking an aisle and praying a prayer because you don't want to experience fire when you die. I'm talking about going, I want to live the adventure of Jesus. I want to go for it. I want to obey him and trust him. And I want to see him do freakish things in my life and go, I can't believe that happened. Only God. That's what you want. And you can walk with him. And you can welcome him in every area of your life. Every area. The hard things, the good things, the happy things, the unknown things. That's the adventure of Christianity. Do I hear an amen out there? Amen. You may be a Christian. The majority of you guys are Christians. Let's just be honest. And the reality is you're at a place where you're going, Daddy, will you help me with my mess? You come down to my basement, Daddy? And God's going, of course. I love you. I'll be right down. What does it have to do with it, though? Does it have to do with your parents with authority issues? Maybe your parents been talking to you guys about some things and they just don't get it. I think they get it a little more than you think. Trust them. Obey them. Maybe it has to do with authority at work, a boss. This is a tough boss that you have. And he's asking you to do some things and you don't understand why. And it's not unethical, but you're like, why is this going in this direction? Obey. Trust God. Maybe it's a teacher, a coach. Maybe it's something to do with your finances. Maybe you have so much debt and you're just ignoring it. You got to get rid of debt. It's killing you. It's killing you. Maybe it's financial stewardship for the church. It's give your tithes and offerings. Right? Maybe it's a forgiveness issue. God is calling you to forgive that person. And you don't want it. And you say, David, if you knew what happened to me, you wouldn't forgive them either. I get it. But God calls us to a higher standard. And he said, obey and forgive and let me do the work in their heart and your heart. And you can trust me. Maybe it's an issue of confession. You need to confess something to somebody. And you've been disobedient. And guys, listen. It can change you and it can change them miraculously. If you just say these words to them. You have no idea what those words, how they'll free you and free them. You have no idea. One of the things I did when I was a senior in high school. Keep in mind, I left Vermont and went to Auburn. I made sure I touched base with every single person in my life that I had to say thank you to, I'm sorry to, or I appreciate you to. And all my buddies kind of went all over the place. They went to Colorado, and they went to California. They went all around New England, all different colleges. So I made sure I sat down with them. Thanks for our friendship. This is what you mean to me. I remember going to my teachers, thanking them. My coach, who coached me in high school. I remember going to people saying, I'm sorry, will you forgive me? Will you forgive me? Because I didn't want to leave Vermont and go away with that still hanging on me. I want to be freed of it. Just kind of like an overcoat. Just get it off me, right? Maybe it's a confession thing. I don't know what it is. But I can go on and on with the message. But this is what I want to say to you. When you and I obey God, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. And you never know what a big deal it is for you and for other people around you. I mean, you're getting married in a month. I mean, if you could start off your marriage by having on the forefront of your brain, me and my wife are going to obey God. We're going to follow Him. And it's going to be a radical adventure. We're going to trust Him. You're in for an awesome life, man. Awesome. Start it right. Do that. And for all of us, be honest with the mess that you're facing. Maybe over lunch you can talk about it. Maybe when the kids are put down after sleep and you see to have a one-on-one time with your wife and your husband, you go, can we talk? We need to talk. I mean, like talk. There's something you need to know. And it's a mess. And you're wondering why there's something off, and this is why. I don't know what it is. But the last thing I want to say before I pray is this. It's never too late to clean up a mess with Jesus. Never. God's a God of second chances. And I hope you can hold on to that. And I hope we can hold on to the example of Noah and how his life is our example. All right, well, let's pray. God, thank you for this morning and each person here and a chance to share your scripture and to kind of share what's on my heart. You know, Lord, I've said a lot of things and I'm looking at people's faces and I'm wondering what's going on. What's going on in their head and their hearts? And I'm encouraged knowing that you know what's going on. And so, God, will you do the work? Will you give us all, including me? I'm lumping myself in this. Will you please give us all the ability to obey? Whatever that looks like. That would be a game changer for us and our families and our friends. Please, God, help us to have those tough conversations with you and with those who we love and those people we don't even really know, but we get to bring them in. So we can handle this situation. With every head bowed and eyes closed. I'm just going to give you a moment. I want you to ask God one question. God, how do I need to obey you? Say it to God. God, how do I need to obey you? Ask Him. Ask Him. Now, to the best of your ability, quietly in your heart, with your head bowed and eyes closed, say, God, I want to obey you. Will you help me obey you? And I leave the results to you. Show your greatness in this, Jesus. I need your greatness. Let's all stand to our feet. Let's sing, how great is our God? How great is our God? Sing me. Don't you want to experience all that God has for you? I mean, really. If you're just obedient and give Him those situations, especially the hard things, watch Him do supernatural, miraculous things in your life. And He can do it. Does anybody believe that this morning? Anybody? I believe it. I'm excited when I come back, whenever it is in the future. You're going to pull me aside and say, do you remember that Noah talk, the boat talk? Well, I decided to get in the boat and I decided to obey and trust. And this is what happened with me and my spouse and my friend and in my dorm room. You would believe it, David. Believe it. I pray today is a starting point for you to experience God's love as you obey Him. We sure do appreciate you coming this morning to church. And I'm going to dismiss you. You guys are welcome to come down here if you need somebody to talk to or pray with you. If not, you guys have an awesome day. God bless.